Hello, my name is Rod Schlosser, and I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And although the name Schlosser doesn't sound very Irish, my mother was Irish, and she raised my 8 brothers and myself all to be sons of Ireland. And we went to the Catholic grade schools, high schools, and I eventually ended up at Notre Dame. But she used to collect money during Operation Autumn in the 50s for the IRA, and we would she'd collect the money here in West Michigan, and we'd bring it over to a bar in Chicago, and she would drop the money off, and my brothers and I periodically would ride over there with her, and we stayed at it with an aunt and uncle over there. And so anyway, that was kind of the background of being introduced into the Irish traditions of my mother and the family. And then when I started to work, I was working at Grand Rapids Community College, and I decided I was going to try to start an Irish Studies program. And so I'd met some people over in Ireland, and so I contacted them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we can do that with you." So over the years, I met with people in South Armagh, and we stayed in South Armagh. And then we would also stay over in Donegal, Loch Swilly, Inch Island over there. There was a Irish Studies program that was over there, and so we kind of dovetailed onto it, and it was great. And so we basically studied the Troubles, and so I used to take students to observe things, especially hilltop forts and what have you, that the British Army had built. And I'd bring the students right up to the positions where the British soldiers were, and they used to stop and say, "Excuse me, would you please get off the mountain or get off the hill?" And we'd always say, "Would you guys please get out of Ireland?" And so we weren't very happy, and there was more than once when we had helicopters flying around and following us around and what have you, and it was crazy. But I had a very good run with it at community college. It ran for about 10 years, and when I retired, unfortunately the program kind of drifted away. There wasn't anybody that had the experience that I had and knew the people that I knew, and so that was it just took its toll, and there wasn't the same commitment and what have you. So, but anyway, I had a great run with it, and thoroughly enjoyed harassing the British troops that were there, and the RUC, and back then it was the RUC, and I used to bring, anywhere from 30 to 50 students over each year. They would take classes at the college in May, and then in June we would go over then for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we would travel around, and we would go into Belfast and go to Stormont and interview some of the politicians and what have you there, and met up with Jerry Adams and Martin McGuinness and Ian Paisley and some of those fellows on the other side, and they always used to say that at least I let my students hear from the loyalists and what have you. And my feeling was that I'd let them listen to Ian Paisley for 5 minutes, and they realized that he was such a bigot that he did more damage to himself than he did, liberalizing them and having the kids see their point of view. And I'd never met anybody as imitated as bigoted as George Wallace. And so I used to bring the students there, and they'd listen to him, and they'd all, on the bus back over towards Derry, they would all say, "My good grief, this guy is terrible." And a lot of times the students would ask me, why doesn't somebody kill him? And I always used to say, nobody from the nationalist community wants to kill him, because he's the best thing that the nationalist community has going for it, because people listen to him for 5 minutes and they realize this guy's nuts. And so that was always kind of interesting. But anyway, I run into students periodically now here in Western Michigan, and they say, "Oh gosh, Mr. Schlosser, that trip you took us on to Northern Ireland was just fantastic. I brought my wife back, or I brought so-and-so back, or a couple of my brothers or something, you know." And it's always kind of fun to hear from those kids because they always talk about that particular program. And I must admit that it was my favorite experience of 40 years of teaching on the college level was bringing the students to the north of Ireland so that they could participate in that. And then I retired about 10 years ago, and I went out and I bought myself a brand new Apple computer, and I sat down and I wrote 4 books in the next 6 months. And the first one was called Family History, Stories, and Other Lies. And it was primarily about my Irish mother and raising 9 boys. And she kind of ran it like a concentration camp, the house. My father worked for a Swiss pharmaceutical company, and so he was gone for about 3 weeks out of the month. And so my mother raised us, and oh my Lord, it was a great experience, you know. And so anyway, I wrote that history, and then I decided to write a historical fiction on the Troubles in the North. And so the name of it, everyone will recognize, is just called Éireann Go Bragh. But I sent chapters to some friends over in Ireland, the north of Ireland, and I said, "Is anybody going to be upset if I, you know, having written about some of these people?" And they said, no, they didn't think anybody would be upset for the nationalist community, but they said, "You named some loyalists that they could see would be rather upset." And so they said, "Maybe you ought to come up with a pen name." So I just took my name, Rod Schlosser, and put it into Irish, which would be Rory O'Cashel. So I published Éireann Go Bragh under the name Rory O'Cashel, and there were 3 volumes. Volume 1 dealt with the early part of the Troubles. Volume 2 was kind of the middle area, and then Volume 3 was towards the end. Excuse me. And it's about a fictitious community college instructor who goes over there and gets involved with the nationalist community and the IRA, and ends up marrying an Irish girl by the name of Barbara. My wife's name is Barbara. She's not Irish, though. But anyway, it's done relatively well. It sells very well, ironically enough, in Britain. And there hasn't been much of the sales in the United States or over in Ireland, but quite a bit in Britain and in Canada. So anyway, it's on Amazon, and so if anybody is interested, they can purchase it there. But I've been retired now for about 10 years, and I turned in an IRA about 5-6 years ago, and I took my entire family over to Ireland. I wanted my kids and my grandkids to see and meet all of the same people that I had worked with over there. So Jerry Adams, Martin McGuinness, Jerry Kelly, and the Murphy, Connor Murphy, and his brother Desi Murphy, and anyway, we had a great time. We were there for 2 weeks, and we spent 2 weeks up in the north, and then 2 weeks down in the south, the Republic, and it was a great experience for my grandkids, and they still tell me, "Oh, you know, that was the best trip." Of course, it was the only trip they've ever taken of that nature. But anyway, we had a great time, and it was fun to show them and introduce them to all these people, so that they said, "Oh yeah, he did this and he did that," and he used to take the kids right up to the fortifications that the British Army had, and he'd yell at the British soldiers and all kinds of stuff. And so they said, "Oh yeah, all that stuff's true," and so that was kind of fun to have that reaffirmed by the people over there.